The first guard died without making a sound. His body crumpled in the eastern corridor of the Sentinel Prime palace, neural pathways fried by a weapon that left no mark. The second guard managed half a breath before the disruptor found her brainstem. By the time the third fell, the palace defense grid was already compromised, its sensors reporting nothing but standard atmospheric readings, while 12 shadows moved through halls that had never known violence. Queen Elena Graves sat in the throne room reviewing diplomatic reports from the outer colonies. The summit with the Andorian delegates had concluded hours ago, leaving her alone except for the ceremonial guard detail posted at each entrance. She wore the formal robes of state, deep blue with silver threading that caught the light from the crystal chandeliers overhead. Her dark hair was pulled back in the traditional style, and her hands, gloved in white silk, moved gracefully across the holographic displays floating before her. She paused. Her finger hovered over a trade agreement. Then she smiled, just slightly, and closed the display. "Captain Morris," she said, her voice calm and clear in the vast chamber. The captain of her guard stepped forward from his position near the main doors. "Your Majesty, take your team and secure the lower levels. All of you." Morris hesitated. "Ma'am, protocol requires—" "I'm changing protocol." Elena stood, smoothing her robes. "You have 2 minutes. Go now." Something in her tone made Morris snap to attention. He'd served under Elena before she became queen, back when she wore different uniforms and answered to different names. He knew better than to question that voice. "Yes, ma'am." "Move out!" The guards filed from the throne room, their boots echoing on marble floors, the massive doors sealed behind them with a pneumatic hiss. Elena walked to the center of the room, beneath the largest chandelier, and waited. 60 seconds passed. The air shimmered. 12 figures materialized in a circle around her, their cloaking fields dissolving like mist. They were Korvaxi, the Empire's finest assassins, each standing over 7 feet tall with exoskeletons that gleamed like polished obsidian. Their 4 arms held weapons designed to kill at molecular levels, their compound eyes fixed on Elena with the cold calculation of predators who had never known failure. The largest stepped forward. Thexmore, first blade of the Korvaxi Empire. His translator implant rendered his clicking speech into flat mechanical words. "Queen Elena Graves, you are surrounded. Resist and die painfully. Surrender and die quickly." Elena clasped her hands behind her back. "You killed 6 of my guards getting here. They were irrelevant. They had families, children, partners who will weep tonight." She tilted her head. "But you don't care about that, do you?" Dexmore's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "The Korvaxi Empire has sent us with a message. Humanity will surrender all territorial claims beyond the Sol system. You will dismantle your defense fleets. You will submit to Imperial authority. Refuse, and we eliminate your leadership, starting with you." "I see." Elena took a slow breath. "And if I have a message of my own?" "You have no leverage, human. We are the Empire's elite. Each of us has eliminated targets on 100 worlds. Your species is new to the galaxy. Soft. Your leaders sit on thrones and play at diplomacy while real powers take what they want." He raised one weapon. "Any last words?" Elena began removing her gloves, one finger at a time. "Just one question. Did your intelligence reports mention what I did before I became queen?" Vexmore paused. "You were a politician, an administrator." "No." Elena pulled off the second glove. Her hands were no longer pale flesh. Instead, gunmetal gray cybernetics caught the light, each finger a precision instrument etched with microscopic circuitry. "I was a soldier." She moved. The nearest assassin didn't have time to process the blur of motion before Elena's hand punched through his thorax plating. She ripped out his primary neural cluster and threw his body into 2 others, sending all 3 crashing into the chamber wall. Her other hand caught a plasma blade aimed at her throat, the energy weapon screaming against her enhanced palm. She twisted, snapping the blade at its hilt, and drove the broken end up through the wielder's skull. 4 assassins down in 3 seconds. The throne room erupted in chaos. Energy weapons discharged, filling the air with the smell of ozone and scorched marble. Elena dropped into a roll as a particle beam carved a molten line across the floor where she'd been standing. She came up inside another assassin's guard, her elbows strike shattering his faceplate before her fingers found the soft tissue beneath. He collapsed, choking on his own blood. Thexmore fired his neural disruptor, the weapon that had killed her guards without a mark. Elena caught the beam on her forearm, her cybernetics absorbing the energy and converting it to heat that vented through her shoulder ports in a hiss of steam. She charged through the dissipating blast and drove her fist into his thorax hard enough to crack the exoskeleton. He staggered back, mandibles clicking in shock. "Impossible," he hissed. "Our intelligence said your intelligence was incomplete." Elena kicked another assassin's knee backward with a crack like breaking timber. "Did you really think we'd advertise our capabilities? Did you think we'd show the galaxy everything we can do?" She caught a vibro blade between her palms, the high-frequency edge screaming as her cybernetics locked it in place. With a wrench, she broke it free and threw it like a spear through another assassin's throat. He went down, gurgling. The survivors broke formation, scattering toward the exits. Elena hit a control on her wrist. Every door sealed. Blast shutters dropped over the windows. The throne room became a tomb. "Now," Elena said, rolling her shoulders, "we do this properly." She'd been Elena Graves, decorated officer, for 32 years before politics called. Before that, she'd been operational call sign Reaper 6, the woman who cleared the rebel strongholds on Arcturus III when conventional forces failed. The soldier who walked into enemy command centers alone and walked out through blood and silence. Command had given her the cybernetic enhancements after she lost both hands defusing a plasma mine to save her squad. She'd requested they make the replacements combat grade. She'd used them well. The galaxy knew Queen Elena as a diplomat, a statesperson, a face of human civilization. They didn't know about the scars hidden beneath formal robes. The muscle memory that never faded, the reflexes honed across 100 battlefields. They didn't know she still trained every morning in the palace sublevels, still ran combat simulations, still kept her edge sharp. The Korvaxi were learning. One assassin tried to climb the walls, his claws finding purchase on decorative columns. Elena jumped, caught a chandelier chain and swung herself up in an arc that ended with both feet slamming into his spine. They crashed down together. She landed in a crouch. He didn't land at all. Another rushed her with all four arms extended, trying to grapple. She slipped inside his reach, her enhanced reflexes making his movements seem slow. Her palms strike to his central ganglion cluster, shut down his nervous system. He toppled like a felled tree, two assassins coordinated, flanking her from opposite sides. Professional, disciplined. They fired in sequence, trying to catch her between overlapping fields of fire. Elena went low, sliding across the polished floor as energy beams crossed over her head. She came up between them, grabbed each by their weapon arms and slammed them together with enough force to crack exoskeletons. They fell in a tangle of limbs. The throne room was a massacre now. Bodies lay scattered across marble stained with alien blood. The beautiful chamber, built to host delegations and peace talks, had become an abattoir. Elena stood in the center of it all, breathing steady, her cybernetic hands slick with ichor. 3 assassins remained, besides Thexmore. They'd regrouped near the sealed eastern entrance, weapons trained on her. She could see the calculation in their compound eyes, the realization that they'd fundamentally misunderstood their target. "You should have done better research," Elena said. She began walking toward them, not rushing, just a steady advance. "Humans don't put figureheads in charge. We don't waste our best people on ceremonies. When we choose leaders, we choose warriors who've earned it." One fired. She dodged left. Another fired. She went right. The third tried to predict her pattern and fired where she should have been. But Elena had stopped teaching patterns to enemies 20 years ago. She was already behind them, moving through their formation like smoke. Her hand closed on a neural spine. Twist. Snap. 1 down. An elbow to a joint cluster. The crack echoed. 2 down. The last assassin swung all 4 arms in a desperate assault. Elena caught 2, broke them at the joints, then used the assassin's own momentum to drive him headfirst into the wall. The marble cracked. He slumped. Only Thexmore remained. The first blade of the Korvaxi Empire stood with his back against the throne itself, weapons raised but wavering. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. "This is impossible. We are the elite. We have conquered 70 species, eliminated thousands of targets." Elena stopped 5 paces away. "You picked the wrong species. The wrong target." She gestured at the carnage. "Your empire sent 12 assassins to kill 1 human queen. Let me show you what happens when humans get serious." She lunged. Thexmore fired everything he had, all weapons discharging at once in a desperate salvo. Elena's cybernetics absorbed what they could, vented the excess, and she pushed through the onslaught like walking into a strong wind. Her fist connected with his thorax, driving him back against the throne. Metal crumpled, exoskeleton cracked. She grabbed him by the throat with one hand, lifted him, and carried him across the throne room to the communications console. With her free hand, she activated the controls. Thexmore struggled, but her grip was unbreakable. "Here's what's going to happen," Aelin said, her voice cold. "You're gonna broadcast to the Korvaxi Empire. You're gonna tell them what happened here. Every detail. I will never..." She squeezed. His words became a choke. "You will safer. Because I'm giving you a choice your people didn't give my guards. Cooperate and live. Refuse and I'll make sure the last thing you broadcast is your own screaming." She loosened her grip just enough for him to breathe. He gasped, his compound eyes wide with something the Korvaxi rarely experienced. Genuine fear. "Do it," Elena commanded. Thexmore's hand shook as he activated his communication implant. The holographic display showed the Korvaxi command frequency going live, broadcasting across their empire's vast network. Millions would be watching. "This is Thexmore First Blade," he began, his translator rendering his clicking speech into a dozen languages simultaneously. "The mission has failed. The human queen, she is not what we thought. She is not soft. She is not weak." His voice cracked. "She is a warrior, a killer. She eliminated my team. All of them, with her bare hands." Elena appeared in the holographic frame, standing behind him, her cybernetic hands visible in the light. Blood and ichor covered her formal robes, but her face was calm, almost serene. "My name is Elena Graves," she said to the watching galaxy. "Some of you know me as Queen of the Human Colonies, but before I wore this crown, I wore different insignia. I fought in wars your empires don't know about. I earned these." She raised her cybernetic hands. "I was a soldier long before I became a diplomat." She pulled Thexmore closer to the camera. "The Korvaxi Empire sent assassins to my home. They killed my people. They thought humans were easy targets because we prefer peace. They learned otherwise." She paused, letting the words sink in across 1,000 worlds. "Let me be clear to every species watching. Humanity chooses diplomacy because we value life, because we believe in cooperation, not because we're incapable of violence." She released Thexmore, letting him slump against the console. "I'm sending this one back alive. Not as mercy, as a message. Touch our people again and you won't face politicians. You'll face warriors. Every human leader has earned their position. Every one of us can fight. Every one of us will fight if you force us to." Elena leaned into the holographic frame. "We came to the galaxy seeking friends, partners. We extended our hand in peace. But if you mistake that for weakness, if you test us again, we'll show you what humanity really is. We're survivors. Fighters. We've clawed our way up from a single world through nuclear fire and genetic plagues and wars that would break your civilizations. We don't want enemies, but we're very, very good at making them regret their choices." She gestured to the throne room, to the bodies of elite assassins lying broken on her floor. 12 of the Empire's finest couldn't kill 1 human queen. Imagine what happens when you face our armies. Our fleets, our billions who've inherited millennia of warfare bred into our very DNA. The transmission continued for another minute, Elena's words measured and deliberate. She detailed exactly how each assassin had fallen, turning their deaths into a tactical breakdown that military commanders across the galaxy would study for years. She made it clear that humanity's restraint was a choice, not a necessity. Finally, she ended the broadcast and shut down the communications array. Thexmore lay against the console, broken but alive. Elena looked down at him. Can you walk? He nodded weakly. Good. Then leave. Go back to your empire. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them the truth they didn't want to learn. She moved to the throne room doors and unsealed them. Tell them humanity prefers peace, but we're exceptional at war. Thexmore dragged himself toward the exit, leaving a trail of green blood across white marble. At the doorway, he paused and looked back at her. Your species is dangerous, only when provoked. Elena sat on her throne, surrounded by the bodies of those who'd underestimated her. Remember that. Make sure your empire remembers it too. He fled into the corridors beyond. Elena activated her communicator. Captain Morris, return to the throne room. Bring medical teams and cleanup crews. We're going to need both. Are you injured, ma'am? No, Captain. I'm fine. But we have guests who weren't so fortunate. Within an hour, the palace was secure. The bodies were removed. Medical teams treated Elena's minor burns and lacerations from energy weapons that had grazed her. Intelligence officers secured the assassin's equipment for study. And across the galaxy, the broadcast rippled outward through 1,000 networks. The Korvaxi Empire recalled their invasion fleet from human space within 6 hours. Their high command issued a formal apology within 12. Other species that had been probing humanity's borders testing for weakness immediately withdrew. 3 empires that had refused human diplomatic overtures suddenly requested formal talks. The broadcast had changed everything. Elena stood on the palace balcony that evening, watching the sun set over Sentinel Prime's capital. Her chief advisor, Marcus Cole, joined her. The galactic response has been unprecedented, he said. Every major power has reached out, some with apologies, others with trade proposals, a few with requests to open military academies on their worlds to train their forces in human combat doctrine. Elena sipped her tea, still wearing her blood-stained robes. She'd refused to change them, wanting her advisors to see the reality of what leadership sometimes required. And our people? How are they responding? Mixed. Some are celebrating, others are worried we've made ourselves a target. We've always been targets, Marcus. Better they know what we're capable of when they come for us. She set down her tea. Draft a response to the Andorian delegates. Confirm we're still interested in their trade agreement. Make it clear today's events don't change our diplomatic priorities. You're still pursuing peace? Always. But now they know peace with humanity is a choice we make, not a necessity we accept. She turned to face him. Our strength gives our diplomacy weight. Without it, we're just asking politely for scraps. With it, we're equals at the table. Marcus nodded slowly. The other human colonies are asking if they should promote their own military veterans to leadership positions. Make a show of force. Tell them to promote whoever's most qualified. If that's veterans, fine. If not, also fine. The point isn't to parade our capabilities. The point is to never hide them again. Elena looked out at the city lights beginning to glow in the gathering darkness. For too long we let the galaxy see only our peaceful face. We thought it would make us seem civilized, advanced. Instead, it made us seem weak. And now they know the truth. Humans value peace because we understand the cost of war. We've paid it. Over and over. We know what we're capable of, so we choose restraint. She flexed her cybernetic hands, watching the servos move beneath synthetic skin. But restraint is only meaningful when you have the power to do otherwise. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council invited humanity to join as a full member rather than an observer. The vote was unanimous. Queen Elena Graves attended the ceremony in her formal robes, the same ones she'd worn during the attack, cleaned but still bearing scorch marks from energy weapons. She wore them deliberately. When she addressed the council, representatives from 200 species listened in absolute silence. Humanity accepts this membership with gratitude and hope, she began. We came to the stars seeking fellowship, understanding, peace. Those goals haven't changed. What has changed is your understanding of us. You see now that we're not naive newcomers hoping for kindness. We're a species that survived our own worst instincts and chose to be better. She paused, her eyes sweeping the chamber. The Korvaxi learned that humanity's peaceful nature comes from strength, not weakness. We hope no other species needs to learn that lesson the same way. We'd rather be your partners than your enemies, your allies than your conquerors. But make no mistake, we're capable of both. The chamber remained silent. Elena smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. So let's build something together. A galaxy where disputes are settled through words instead of weapons. Where cooperation replaces conquest. Where different species can thrive side by side. Her voice hardened. And if anyone threatens that vision, if anyone tries to take what we're building and tear it down, they'll discover what the Korvaxi discovered. Humanity doesn't start fights, but we end them. The applause was uncertain at first, then grew stronger as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just joining the galactic community, it was reshaping it through the simple act of refusing to hide its true nature anymore. Later, in her private quarters, Elena finally changed out of her ceremonial robes. She examined her cybernetic hands in the mirror, remembering the soldier she'd been, the wars she'd fought, the prices she'd paid. She'd thought those days were behind her, thought she could leave violence in the past and build a future through diplomacy alone. The Korvaxi had proven her wrong, not about diplomacy's value, but about the need to maintain the capacity for violence even while pursuing peace. The galaxy respected strength. It negotiated with power. Humanity had both, and now everyone knew it. Her communicator chimed. A message from Earth, from the Defense Command. They wanted her input on new cybernetic enhancements for the next generation of Special Operations soldiers. Apparently, her performance against the Korvaxi assassins had impressed the military brass. They wanted to know what upgrades she'd recommend. Elena smiled grimly and began dictating her response. She might be a queen now, but some skills never faded. Some knowledge stayed sharp. And if her experience could help protect the next generation of human soldiers, she'd share it gladly. Because that was the truth the galaxy needed to understand. Humanity didn't just have warriors. It treasured them, elevated them, learned from them. Every human leader carried the weight of their species' violent past and used it to forge a better future. The Korvaxi had sent 12 elite assassins to prove humanity was weak. Instead, they'd proven the opposite, and the galaxy would never forget it.